Hey everybody, welcome to Do You Believe on ParanormalZoneTV. I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. And for those who may be new to the show, if you would please subscribe, I'd appreciate it. And also, don't forget to give the show a like. Tonight I have an awesome guest. Cindy Sauer is my guest. She is a haunted survivor. Her story was told on Season 5 on Destination America's The Haunting, The Exorcism of Cindy Sauer. And tonight, Cindy is going to tell us her terrifying story. So everyone, let's welcome Cindy to the show. Thanks, Cindy, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I did see your story, and I'm really interested in what you have to say. It's always a pleasure to have the real survivor on a show where our viewers can see you and you can tell us in person. Now, what I would really like to know, I would like you to start from the beginning, when this all started. Would you start that for the viewers, please?
Absolutely. This show started at the point that my husband passed away. And it was in February of '09, and he committed suicide in the home that we lived in. At the time, we were separated, so I was with a friend up the street. And we had been separated for a few months, but we were so close. I went and checked on him a lot. We would, still spend time together. He just wasn't doing very well. And so I had gone to the store one day, any other day to pick up groceries. And I was intending on going over and bringing him something to eat. I got a phone call when I got in the car to go back home that I needed to get to my house, which was where he was at the time. A friend of mine said that I needed to get there immediately. And I kind of knew what had happened, but, I was in absolute shock, and it was not very far up the road. It was only a mile away, so, it was the longest mile of my life, but something in me knew what had happened. And when I got there, it was a mess. I couldn't get into the driveway. I had to park across the street. The house was full of people. They were shuffling in and out. The yard was full of emergency vehicles. And it took me a few minutes to get someone, over to where I was at. I was at the end of the driveway, and they eventually, after questioning me, informed me that he was passed away, that he was deceased. They didn't tell me how. That's all I knew to go on at that time. But so that is sort of the day that marks the beginning of a lot of what happened. Mm-hmm. And it was only a few months later that I got the kids. I mean, it was my house. So against better judgment, and people were, of course, giving me advice. We chose to move back in. It was our home, and it was where I'd raised the kids. So we moved back into the house. Mm-hmm. That was a difficult decision for me. It weighed heavily on me, but I just felt like it was the best thing for us to do at the time with everything that was going on. So, we did move back in the house.
Now, you said that with the suicide of your husband, that marks the beginning. Had you known of any paranormal activity or any odd things that were going on in the home before this happened?
Not just odd things in the home, but my entire life, odd things have happened since I was a kid. And it's been sort of a constant in my life, which is, I think, one of the reasons why I was interested in it at such a young age. I remember, being interested in and wondering what ghosts were, or spirits, what they were, before, I really even knew what the term ghost meant. And so it's been something that has been with me my whole life. My brother and I used to, before even Ghost Hunters, was on the scene, we would kind of do amateur investigations different places. So it's something that's been a part of my life. But that day, there had been things that happened before. Nothing malicious, nothing bad. Every now and then you'd hear something or see something, nothing major. But after that day, and when we moved back into the house, is when things started to progressively get worse.
So was it happenings in the house or happenings with you personally?
At first, it was in the house. When we first moved back in, the first incident that really struck me, was something that they did portray on the show, and it was shortly after. It was within days of coming back to the house. There was, when I came in to the house anyway to start cleaning up, there was just this oppressive feeling, and I was determined to get it out. I just wanted to make it home again. We were cleaning, and my daughter and her friend had gone onto the back porch, and she was just sitting out there. They were enjoying the day, and she lets out this blood-curdling scream, and I have to go running out there. She's balled up in a fetal position. It took me a good bit of time to get her inside, to get her calmed down, to ask her what was going on. And she said that she saw her dad, and that he was standing, there was an outbuilding, probably, 40 or 50 feet from the house, and it was his shop that he had for years. And she said that he was standing out there leaning against a tree. She said, but he looked angry, essentially. And so she was pretty upset, and that was the first incident. I got angry, I got upset. I was still confused. We were still grieving. And so my first initial reaction is to go out there and to yell. And I did. And I was upset. And on the show, they make it out, like I was, just trying to investigate. But I was really upset. And I went out there, and I was fussing and yelling and demanding that it stop, to leave the kids alone. And a lug nut, it came whizzing by my head within inches of my ear. I heard it go by out of nowhere. I was standing in the middle of the yard, and it just comes flying past me. And so that was the first kind of scary, scary event that happened that we can remember.
So at this time, were you feeling any fear for your life? Any malevolent feelings? Any negativity in the home?
Yeah, I was. Especially in my bedroom. And of course, you're going to think about that. That's where a person died. And I'm back in there. But from day one, it was unsettling for me in there. It was hard to do my day-to-day thing and go through the room and to not feel this sort of oppression. And eventually, it grew through the house, and it was just this thickness in the air. It was like the sunlight wouldn't shine in enough, and like there was just this foul feeling. I could never get it to go away. It was in there, and I tried to just get it out of there as best I could, but it just got worse. It started to kind of push in on you, and we would start to hear things. We'd hear knocks on the door, the front door, and there's no one there. And this place is not, it's not in a residential area, and the neighbors are pretty spaced apart, so no one should be knocking on my door at like 12:30 at night unless they called first. But that wouldn't happen, and there wouldn't be anybody there. It did it repeatedly. There were many times you could see it was like someone or something passing by our windows, but the windows were too high off the ground for someone just to walk by. There were times when it looked like balls of energy, just big, kind of not white, because people really think that you see like an orb or an energy ball that it's like pure white, but these were kind of dirty gray brown color, I guess, and they just were really thick, and it didn't have any like defined edges. They kind of just hung in the air, so they were amorphous and kind of fluid, sort of. It was really odd.
So you were having paranormal activity, which was leading up to what was happening then after that. I mean, how long did this go on before you went into searching out that haunted house?
It went on, I don't know, 5 or 6 months.
Oh, 5 or
And
6 months, okay.
I started to look for a new place to live. We wanted to kind of start over, and I was going to sell the house, so I went looking, and I found this house. And it's one that I'd found, several years before in the general area of where I live, but I could never find it again, which was really odd.
Oh, yeah.
So it was just there. I was looking for rentals, and it just popped up in front of me. Literally, I went to the end of a road, stopped at a stop sign, and there this thing was in front of me. And so, I was curious. I'm always curious. But I drove up and kind of checked it out a little bit. Didn't get out of the car, but I took a picture and sent it to Jason, who I had met him a couple of months before. And so we had talked about it a little bit, about, the paranormal and what he thought about it. So we decided we were going to check it out. And I was excited, a little nervous, but we did go back during the day. And this house was massive. It was huge. These huge columns outside. I have a picture somewhere of it. But it was very big and set back pretty far from the road. And so we went inside during the day. We took pictures, and it was an off place. And there was this black all over the walls. It was almost like there was a fire, but there had never been a fire. It was this, I don't know if it was mold or what, but it was just all over the walls. It was really weird. But we did experience some things during the day. Just a few, I'd seen things out of the corner of your eye.
What, in the house, or in that abandoned house, or at your home? In the abandoned house?
Yeah, at the abandoned house that I found, yeah.
Did you...
It was there, and on the show, it looks like a little kind of ramshackle barn that has no roof, but it was completely different. It was estate-like, and there was a lot of land, and it was enormous. It was a big house.
Were you able to do any research and find out the history on that house?
I have done research, and I'm actually going to try to write a book on that itself, because the house and everything around it is really interesting in the history of the area. And there was a plantation there at one time. It was probably, 8 or 9 acres left over, and they had built this big house. It was a prominent family in the area, and I actually got to speak to the woman who rented this house from the people who owned it. And there are some interesting things that happened there. There were some murders, accidental deaths, murders. It was not, it wasn't on purpose. It wasn't intended, but there were murders there, and some other things that would probably, add to the kind of negative energy that was in the place. So I did do research, and I'll talk more about that at another time when I can get everything together. But I am in touch with the people who actually lived in that house. Mm-hmm. So they do know about what happened and went on, and they're willing to kind of come forth and talk about it too. It's pretty interesting.
Wow.
I like doing my research. I like knowing what's going on.
Absolutely. The house, is it still owned by someone, or did they just walk away from it?
The people that rented it just walked away.
No, the owners. The owners of the house.
The owners, they still own it, and they will do nothing with it. It is falling into disrepair. They won't sell it. They won't let anything be done to it. It just continues to sit.
Oh, that's a shame.
And I do know that the owners, I think the owner's father, he's an elderly gentleman now, but the owner's father did actually accidentally kill someone who he thought had come onto the property to rob him at one time. I would have to look up archives to see if that were true, but that is one of the things that the woman told me. She experienced things while she lived there that weren't good, and I've actually seen pictures of some of the things that she has evidence of, so we've got some stuff to back that up. It's really odd, and it's interesting how the two stories kind of connect together, because before I visited that house, I had not been attacked, but the night that we went back is the first night that I suffered best thing I can describe it as. So it.
Okay, so you were attacked at that abandoned house. In what
Yes.
way? In what way were you attacked?
Okay. When we went back that night. We parked and we're getting out just to do, we were going to go inside and do some EVP sessions and just check it out, see what would come of it. You could tell something was wrong, just with the place. So we went to get out. We never made it into the house.
Oh, you didn't?
We never did. As soon as I got out of the car, I was extremely agitated and extremely uneasy. Something was wrong. Something just felt really off. Oh, we thought we heard a car at one point pull up to the house, so we went back around. We'd only made it part of the way around the back of the house. We came back to the car, and this, I could start to see things out of my peripheral vision. Just, they're shadows for the most part, just darting kind of back and forth between trees, because there were a lot of trees around, and you could feel it. Everything sort of moved. It was almost like a vortex or a whirlwind or something around you, and it was the noises were just kind of like whispers almost, and it just kept getting more and more intense around, and you could feel something really building, like just energy. It just kept building up. And it got to the point where I just was ready to get back in the car. And I told him, just let's get in the car, let's go. And he was a little more, I don't think he was as aware of it as I was, but it came to the point to where it got so bad, I just tried to open the door to get in the car, and the door was locked. And I felt something and turned around, just felt just a presence, and I turned around in time to see a tree that was probably about 20 yards away. And this is a huge hardwood tree. This tree literally, it moved almost like it twisted. And this vapor that had to be, 40, 50 feet tall, and it just huge, this big, huge vapor just came like a freight train out of that tree. And it twisted the tree and came right at me, and it hit me. And that's the first time that I felt something in me.
Okay.
We got in the car. I told him just to go, just please go. And this thing was behind my shoulder, back here, is just screaming. It was this awful scream.
Did
it
Jason?
was something I can't describe. It was like a million screams at once.
Did Jason hear that screaming as well?
He didn't.
Only
he
you
did not
heard it.
hear that. And I was just so. I was just such a mess. I didn't know what to do. The only thing I knew to do, and I was instinctually putting my hands over my ears and nearly on the floor of the car. We got to the bottom of the driveway, and he stopped the car to check on me and got me back up in the seat, and everything just stopped. The sound, everything stopped. The screaming, and I just felt really just weird, almost calm, but really strange. And he asked me if I was okay. And I told him to just please pray. I said, just pray. And this is kind of in and out. I remember it a little bit, but at that point, I started to kind of black out a little bit. And when I did that, it's the first time I actually had convulsions. My stomach was touching the roof of the car, and I don't understand it still how I was in the position I was in, but I know that I was bent in such a way that my stomach was actually making contact with the roof of the car. And there were noises just coming out of me. And I'm not sure how long it lasted. He'd be able to tell you more about it than I could, but it stopped as soon as it happened. I know he was praying, and as soon as he really started to break. It just quit, and I sat back normally, and I was like, the only thing I remember saying is that was weird. And he drove a little bit farther, and I had to get out of the car, and we stopped at a CVS, actually. I got out of the car, and I was just agitated still. I just still didn't feel right. And that's when he started kind of badgering me, asking me questions. And he was asking me things like, what's your name? And I didn't talk. I was like, he knows what my name is. You know, I was kind of irritated at him. And, you know, what did we do today? Where are you from? How old are you? Stuff that he already knows. And it started to just really enrage me to the point that I wanted to walk off. I wanted to just leave. And he grabbed me by my face finally and looked at me and he said, what is your name? And when he did that, I felt this kind of it was like a tense energy, something in my stomach, and it moved up into my chest and out of my throat. And it was this horrible growl, hiss sort of thing. And it was really, it was so deep and so guttural that it like vibrated my chest.
Oh my God.
It was the weirdest thing that I have ever felt, and I knew it was not me. I mean, I knew it was not coming from me. It was like this presence was pushing me backward, and it had come forward, and it got really bad. I mean, it got really. I know I couldn't breathe. I was coughing. I was trying to throw up, and he just kept praying, and I couldn't say anything. I couldn't. My tongue was just tied. I mean, I had no control over anything at that point, and all I could do was just, you know, in my head, just ask him for help and just beg for help. That's all I could do. I couldn't say he wanted me to pray with him. I couldn't say anything. I couldn't say Jesus. I couldn't. I just couldn't communicate anything.
So what
and
happened?
I don't know. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, honey. Go ahead.
No, I don't know how long that lasted. I know it was a while.
How long was the drive to go back home? And what happened?
The drive home was from the house about 15 minutes.
All right. So what happened to you when you got home?
When that finally was over with, I got home. We got home. It was probably because of, you know, being in the parking lot, everything that happened. It was probably around 5 o'clock in the morning. So it was, you know, dawn was breaking when we got home. And I couldn't sleep. I don't think there was any way to sleep after that. I cried a lot. Because it's you don't ever, I mean, it's not something you ever think about happening. You just, it's not real, you know? I never really thought that was real. I watched all the movies and you know, the Exorcist in Amityville and all those things, and you don't, how is that going to happen to you?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't think it can. So, you know, I just reconciled to myself that maybe it was an isolated incident, and that's what I went with. There was something at that house that did not want us there, and that's what happened. And we're gone. And we made a pact that day never to go back to the house again.
Mm-hmm.
Never to go by it, never to go near it.
As the day, right, so you said you couldn't sleep that night. Did you finally get some rest?
I think that following night, I finally was just so exhausted because I was completely, it's not like this happens and you're like, okay, it happened. This stinks. You're physically not yourself. You're physically, mentally, and emotionally, you're completely drained. It's like you're moving in slow motion. It's a very strange sensation. Anybody that has come into any sort of contact with a paranormal entity of any kind, benevolent or malevolent, will tell you that it affects your energy. It affects you, and it's something that lasts.
Well, it's not only your energy; it's also your personality as well.
Yeah, it's everything. It's your entire being, and it drains you. It's not this amazing. You know, people want to. Oh, I want to feel a ghost. I want to come into contact, and it's not natural. So you have to think about that stuff. It's not this wonderful, amazing thing. People, it makes you sick.
Oh no, it's horrible. I've had 3 attachments. And
there's
awful.
Nothing good about it.
No, it's not. It's absolutely horrible. But now, and you believe that it, or is what happened to you, was that a demonic entity?
Yeah.
It was a demonic entity.
Yes, it was. It was. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So how long was this going on then? Your personality, you felt different. Were you fighting with Jason in the home? Were you arguing?
Yeah, we did. He didn't live with me at the time, so he was back and forth, and he would come, during the week and on weekends, a few days at a time. But yeah, I was a very difficult person to, and I'm not live with, but I was a very difficult person to deal with, and not because I was angry or mad or anything all the time, but because things were happening to me, and these scratches would pop up. I'd have bruises on my thighs, just these 3 bruises and patterns of 3. I would hear things a lot. I would hear these voices.
What were the voices saying to you? Do you remember what the voices were saying to you?
Yeah.
What were they saying?
I do. Sometimes they would threaten me and tell me that they were going to attack me at certain times. I was in a band at that time, so I had, gigs that on a regular basis, pretty much every weekend, and they would tell me they were going to attack me in public. They did attack me in public.
What did they do? What happened?
We were out at karaoke one night, and I was sitting in a booth with my sister and Jason and some friends, and it attacked me. And just right there.
Okay, but what you said attacked? In what way were you attacked?
It was manifesting itself inside me, showing everyone that it was there. It was growling, and my whole body would contort.
So you were growling. Were you growling? It was you that was growling. You were growling. Was your face distorting? Did they tell you that your face? Oh my God! Did anybody take any pictures of you at that time?
Not at that time, but there's a video of the first exorcism. It was caught on video. There is documentation of it, so I haven't seen it.
You haven't? Who did the video?
I haven't. I don't think that I can.
Who recorded the video?
The priest and the paranormal group that was helping me at the time. I looked them up and found them. They were a reputable group in the area, and I did that one night. It was actually Halloween night after I suffered my second full-on attack. In between, there had been little things like one day I had started to punch myself just out of the blue. I hit myself several times, and it wasn't me. It was my hand. It wasn't me. But things like that were happening, and I would be out of it and just kind of, just in and out. It was really odd. I'd have these blackout moments. I knew it was there. I'd hear things in the walls. We would all hear things in the walls. My daughter saw this thing. It's not like it was just inside of me. It was around. It was doing things outside of me too. And I couldn't sleep.
Well,
I was terrified.
How was your relationship with your daughter during this time?
It was already difficult because of, my husband passing on and us grieving still. But strangely enough, we were still extremely close. She knew what was happening. We all it came to a point where we all knew it was there. We knew what it was doing. It affected everybody. And it really actually brought us closer.
So what happened to you to make you reach out to other people for help?
It was that Halloween night I mentioned a few minutes ago. I suffered the worst attack I had had up to that point. I just sat down, and the thing is that you're doing normal, everyday stuff. You're going about your life as normally as you possibly can. And I bent over the tub and pulled the plug to let the water out, and that sound started to come out of me again, out of the blue. That thing in my throat, that growl, and it's deep. It's very deep, and it started to come out of me, and I knew it was happening. And after that, after the sounds, the verbal, things start to happen, is when your body starts to contort and twist, and everything bends abnormally. My shoulders, one shoulder would jut up, the other would jut down. My hands would like twist into claws. My face would get long. My eyes would change. Everything would change. It would kind of distort and pull up, like pull outward and up. And my legs, at that point, they nearly twisted backward. But I had the presence of mind. I'm still conscious during this, and I stood in front of the mirror in the bathroom and watched this happen. And I called Jason to tell him, because it makes it where I can't talk, where you can't say anything. So I tried to call him to tell him what was going on, and I managed to get it out before it got to the point to where I couldn't speak. And I just had to put the phone on speaker and put it down and just watch this happen. And there was nothing I could do. That's frightening. To watch that is, I don't know what made me stand there, but that's what I did.
So on a daily basis then, before you reached out for help, tell me what your day was like. Were you able to sleep at night at all? No. So daytime broke. So what happened? How was your day?
I would catch hours during the day if I could. If not, I just went without sleep. I would wait till the sun started to come up, and then I could maybe get some sleep. But it was around me. It would go around my bed at night. I could feel it there, or something, or day, or the kids would see this thing walking around, and there were mornings where they'd wake me up because I'd just gotten to sleep, and they'd wake me up, and like, we saw it come in your room, get up, get out of the room. And it had become normal stuff. And this is only within a matter of like a month and a half since the incident at the house. And things got progressively worse every day. I started to hear more. I'd hear it talk more. I'd get more bruises. I was tired. It would do things around. It would move things. This is when things started to really move. Cabinet doors would swing open and close. The dryer, the door would open and close, like rapidly, repeatedly. The water would come on and off. You hear weird things that are not, they're weird. I would hear hisses. That was the big thing, is like hissing at night or growling. When I would try to sleep, it was impossible. It was breaking me down to the point to where it was hard to function on a daily basis. Something happened every single day and every single night, and I knew when it was going to happen. I got the I don't know if it's an ability or what you'd call it, but I knew when it was going to happen. I could feel it. And so I started living life like that every single day.
And then it came to the point where you reached out for help?
Yeah. I didn't know. I mean, there was nothing else left to do. And Jason kind of pushed me into it and said, you need to do this. So I did. And I reached out to these amazing people. And it was a paranormal group out of Roswell, Georgia.
What was their name?
They were RGPI then, and now they've changed their name. I'll let you know before the end what they are now.
Was it UPR Underground Paranormal?
No, UPR Underground is not. That is my friend John.
Oh, okay. I saw him in the chat room, and I thought, oh, well, maybe
yes.
that was the group.
He is a great guy. Awesome paranormal investigator. Their group is great. I actually did a show with them recently, and amazing people. So shout out to John. And he's a cool guy. But it was not them, and I will look it up to find out. And please don't you shoot me, Michelle, or Cheryl, or Claudia, for forgetting, because you know I'm forgetful. But they came in the first night and were just, you know, I did not, I got to the point to where, and this was only a matter of, like, from the time I called and told them what was going on, because, you know, they get a lot of calls. And they decided to take on the case pretty quickly, and that I needed help, and they wanted to come and investigate, because, you know, it's not often that you say, hey, I think I have a demon inside of me. You know, you don't get those calls much. So they came out quick, and they came in and did a preliminary, and all hell broke loose again. It went crazy. Within you know, I don't know, within 45 minutes or so of them being there, they checked everything out. The house wasn't a very big house. And they came and sat back down and started asking me questions.
Mm-hmm.
And asking if they could do an EVP session with me there. And I agreed, because the plan was for me to leave and then to investigate. So I stuck around for a few minutes for them to do an EVP session, just to see if it was, you know, it would do anything, and it did. And they, as soon as the lights shut off and they started asking questions, it was there, and it came in, and everybody felt it. I know they did, and I suffered a really severe attack. It was bad, and it was in front of everybody. It wasn't anything that, you know, that was hidden. Like, people think that they're just, you know, these things happen only under the cover of night, and they don't. It just got pushed to the point to where it manifested, and they were rolling video, and they got it. And I know it scared the heck out of them. It terrified me, and I know it scared them. And it was at that point that we decided that it was time to maybe get a priest involved, and that I might need an exorcism, which is a hard thing to swallow. That's something that you don't expect anyone to tell you, that, hey, guess what? We think you need an exorcism. You know, that too that's stuff on movies and on TV. It's not real life stuff. And I'm probably not the only one that, you know, had that feeling. I don't anymore, of course, but that's how I felt. Like, it's something that happens on TV. It doesn't happen in real life. I'd never heard of an exorcism really happening. You know, not that I thought was real. And I haven't met anybody since who has had an exorcism other than me, which is odd.
So how many times did this group come over before they said that you needed an exorcism?
One time.
Just once?
First time.
So,
First time.
all right, and did they question you? Did they have you, were you talking in a different tongue at any time?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
They
did, and they questioned me ahead of time, and they made sure that mentally everything was good. Physically, you know, you go through the whole, you have to go through the whole process. It's not something that people come to you and just, you know, there's preparation that has to happen in order for these things to happen, and they have to be sanctioned. Mm-hmm. They're not just these fly-by-night people that go around just, you know, you need an exorcism, you need it, you know, just giving out exorcisms. It's not like that. And so it was a shock. And the evidence that they got that night, not only what happened when I was there, but the other things that happened, they took it to the appropriate people, and it was decided that an exorcism was going to, you know, take place. They sanctioned the exorcism. So that happened pretty quick too, within 2 weeks actually,
and
which is pretty unheard of. But what had happened you know, and it wasn't just that night, them coming and, you know, seeing what happened to me. They were getting, things, things were happening to them before they even came. They were warned by this thing not to come to my house and not to do this investigation. I know a couple of them were very reluctant, I think, to even go, but they kind of, you know, decided to band together and do it anyway. But it was a commitment for them too, and that's something I have not overlooked. I never do. I told them thank you a lot, because they stuck their necks out. Even after seeing what happened the first time, they decided, you know what, I'm going to be a part of this. I'm going to help this person whom I don't know. And they called Father Darren Simpson, and he was the person that was picked to do the exorcism. So,
was he a Catholic priest by any chance?
No, he's Orthodox priest.
Orthodox, okay.
Yes.
Did anybody at the time that this team was questioning you? Were they doing a video and recording you at the same time?
Yeah.
So they had.
did.
Oh, I wish I had known that. Did they ever present you with the evidence from their findings?
No.
They never
Not
did.
Not any of the video. There's a picture I do have that I'm really, really careful to share. I don't share it very often, but I am in possession of a picture that they took that has something in it, and it's pretty frightening. I've shown a few people, and some expert people who, you know, have seen a lot of pictures, and it's pretty scary. It's not something that is just like, okay, well, oh, that's freaky. I mean, this picture really tends to bother people. So I'm really careful about showing it. The video that they have, they've got it locked away as far as the exorcism, and, you know, the subsequent video, I've never seen it. Like I said, I haven't seen it, but it is there. And you know, if there's any time that I wanted to access it, I'm sure that I would be able to do that. But as of this time, I have not yet. So. And
on this video, did it also record you talking in other languages?
I'm not sure. There are parts that I can't say if I blacked out, because how do you know if you did? You know what I mean? Where they would be able to tell you, but I don't know. I couldn't say for sure one way or the other, because I'm not exactly sure everything that was recorded. There are things that fuzzy that I wasn't present for. Then there are things that I remember, like all of it. But to me, it all, I remember it all as, this is what happened and this is what happened. And then there are in between things that I don't remember that everyone else experienced that I didn't, because I was kind of checked out. So I know the one time that I know about speaking a different language was when Jason would pray.
Uh-huh.
There were times when it would get very angry, and it would tell me to say things to him, and I would say things, and they would not be, they were not in English, and I don't know what they were. But some of them we did look up, and it seemed to be Aramaic, and they did put it on the show. One of the things that it did tell me was it said that your God bows to me. And it also told me in Aramaic that Jason's arrogance would be his downfall. So it was things like that that were just, you don't know, it's not something I've ever heard. I've never even heard it. When you speak it, it comes out, and you don't, it doesn't come from you. So it's just strange. It's one of the many strange things that happens that you don't hear about or expect. It's things like, I could go, so there were times when it would get kind of in me, and I could go for like several minutes to a couple of hours without blinking. I wouldn't blink. I would never blink. I would just stare and never have the need to blink. And it was very disconcerting. But when at the moments when it was like that, it was like I had given up to the point to where I really didn't. I didn't fight what was happening, and so I just let these things happen. And I could eat more, which was a really horrible thing. Is the amount of food that I could consume and never get full, which is also
that's interesting.
Completely scary.
Wow.
It's and like you can never eat enough, and you're never full, but you never get full.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, it's it completely twists what you are, and it starts to just intermingle with you. Like it really starts to kind of twist in and become part of what you are, or I don't know. It's hard to explain, but that's what you feel. You just feel it kind of melting into you at times.
Did this paranormal team then, they contacted the priest, and I'm sure they must have shown what evidence and the video that they had of you. Is that correct?
Yeah, they had to give any evidence they had to be able to have the exorcism sanctioned, to my knowledge. So they had to have all that, which I think is why they did it in the first place. Unbeknownst to me, they didn't come in saying, this is what we think is wrong, and this is what we're going to do to see if we can get, the evidence that we need. And I think that they were prepared for that to an extent, but I don't think that was their, intent from the beginning.
Do you remember the preparation of the exorcism on you?
I remember waiting that day for it to happen. But by the time Father Darren pulled up, I was already so far gone that it's fuzzy at places, and I don't remember him preparing, but I know that he had to be prepared before he walked through the door. Mm-hmm. Because before he walked in, I was already gone.
So you don't know how long this exorcism on you took? Did they do it once, or was it several times?
That day, they had to go through the rite a few times. I know it was close to 2 hours. There are parts I do remember. There are parts I don't. There are a lot of parts that I remember, but there was nothing I could do. I was so far back in, just in myself, and it was so far forward and so powerful that the best I could do is try to fight and come through sometimes. And I remember there were times asking, just please help me. I wanted help. Mm-hmm. And that was the best I could do. It hurt. I did sustain injuries. They were, inflicted by this thing or me or, whatever. It's hard to. It was my body, but it was not me, and I did things that ended up hurting me. I know I was held down at some points, and it was a big internal fight for me because I really wanted it to stop, and I was trying to push this thing out, but it was really, really hard to do, and there was a lot of crying. I know that. I know I cried a lot. It's just not something that you want to go through once at all, much less more than once. And it's horrifying. It's a terrible thing.
But you believe that this happened to you because of the paranormal investigation at that abandoned house?
No, I don't.
Okay. How do you think this happened?
I think it happened long before. We're still kind of looking for answers on that. I'm still not sure. I'm still on the fence about it. I think it was with me before then, and I think it chose that time to make, to kind of make an appearance and to really do damage, because I was really weak at that time. After everything that happened, I think that I was just at my weakest, and it was easy for it to, to do whatever it was going to do to try to fulfill whatever purpose it had.
And during the exorcism, the priest was able to call out the demon who was inside of you, and he was able to get that name. Are you able to talk about that name?
I don't. I do know the name. I don't use it. To me, I'm careful. I think that holds a little bit of weight, and I don't feel like it's necessary or smart to share it. I even asked, for the show, the people who knew Dominion Pictures and the people who shot the episode and put it together, I specifically requested that they didn't use the name. And, I know, some people are okay with it. I don't feel like it's a safe thing to do. I don't want any sort of attention brought to this that's not necessary. I will tell you that I've had myself and other people who have researched it, and that there is a lot of history connected with this name. So it's something that I'm not really that comfortable just kind of blurting out or sharing. So I don't really do that unless I absolutely have to, and usually under confidence, which I know it sounds silly and crazy, but if it takes a priest getting the name in order to cast this thing out of a person,
right,
then that name is something that probably shouldn't be uttered very often, I think. So I kind of keep it under wraps a little bit.
Right, and that's why I won't mention it either, because I read what the demon's name was.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, we're gathering questions for
okay.
you. So, what is happening now in your life? How are you? You only had this exorcism in that one particular day, and that was the last exorcism. Was that one day?
That wasn't the last.
You've had more?
Yeah.
How many?
I did. I had another one almost exactly a year later. It came back, and it came back worse than the first time. So I did have to go through another exorcism after I moved out of the house, actually, and started over in a new place. So yeah, I'm finding out more often than not, just in stories that I've researched and things that I've read, that a lot of times one is not enough. That it does take subsequent exorcisms in order for this thing to go away. And it wasn't the end of it.
All right, so you moved out of the house, and
yes,
the possession started all over again. Okay.
That spring, actually, it took. The first exorcism was in November, and
November what was the very first one?
November of 2011.
2011. Okay.
It was the beginning of November, and the second one was almost a year later. It was in December. It was in spring of that year, in March, when I first had the first attack on the second round of everything. So I thought everything was good, and I was doing better. Everything felt like I was moving forward, and it was out of nowhere. It was a spring day. I was outside enjoying the weather, and it hit me just out of the blue.
Oh my God.
No rhyme or no reason to it. It was just there again. So.
Did you contact the same priest again for the second one?
I did. It took me a while to do that though, because I really wanted this to be a fluke. I really wanted it to be just, this thing's bothering me again, but it's not. It doesn't have me, you know. That it's funny, even after going through it the first time, you're just sort of. I wanted so badly for it to not happen again that I just kind of, you know, put it on the back burner almost, and things started to ramp up, but I just didn't want it. I avoided it. I did not want, until it got so bad that I had to. I didn't want to go through another exorcism. I didn't want to. I don't know anyone in the right mind that would want to. So it took a while, and it was months this time, whereas the first time it was like a month and a half of really dealing with this thing. It was several months this time of this happening and progressively getting worse.
Did you contact the same paranormal team again?
I did. I contacted them, but I was also in touch with the priest. You know, after the first time, you want to have that person, you know, where you can get in touch with them if you need them. And he told me that. And I was in contact with him. It was a few months after it ramped up again is when New Dominion Pictures approached me and asked me, you know, to do the show. So I agreed, and it was hard to do. I was kind of, you know, didn't know. It's a weird thing to kind of process, but to go public with it was that was a tough decision, but we did. So it was it made its appearance during the actual filming of the show, and so that's when I really talked to Father Darren. That's the first time I had seen him since the exorcism, the first one. I spoke to him, and we talked about it, and talked about the fact that if it got worse, that we would have to do it again. So that was the plan, and it happened the end of November this time of 2012. So that was number 2.
And you say that is the demon still trying to enter your life, Cindy?
The thing I think that people probably can't grasp, I mean, even if they do believe that it happens, is the fact that just because you have an exorcism and these things are not in you anymore does not mean they go away. They don't get banished back to the pits of hell. They just are these opportunistic hunters, and they're around, and they don't just go away. You know, they don't just completely go away. If you can't let your guard down, and I don't think that they're just gone. I know in my case they're not just gone, and they come back with reinforcements. I know people have probably heard that, and from my experience, they do. And so no, it's not something that's inside of me, and I'm not possessed anymore. But is the possibility there that it could happen again? Absolutely, it is. And I've just got to be on my toes and aware, because once it happens, you're more likely for it to happen again.
And has this whole thing changed your life, Cindy?
Completely.
In what way?
It's completely changed. It's definitely made me more aware of being strong, and there's a lot to be said for prayer. Praying, you have to pray, and I don't care if you believe in God, or you believe in Buddha, or whatever it is that you believe in. That one, that one thing that you have faith in, and to me it is God, and to me that was the answer. It's important. it's just absolutely important, and it's vital to me. It's something I have to do, on a normal basis, and it's not a regular relationship, that you think of with God, where I go to church every Sunday and everything's just prim and proper, and we pray every day 5 times a day. It's nothing that has to do with any sort of schedule or anything. It's something that I'm just very aware of. I keep holy water around. I sage the house on a regular basis. There are things I've got to watch out for, and there are steps I have to take that most people probably don't. And it's changed in that way, where I have to be diligent. It's changed in the fact that the things that aspirations that I had, 5 years ago, I don't now. My purposes are different. Now I want to focus on helping people, because there are other people who need this kind of help and who don't understand what's going on, and people who don't believe them, because it's isolating, and there's no resource. There's no one you can reach out to and say, hey, this is what's happened to me. People are either going to laugh at you, they're going to think you're crazy, or they're going to think you're lying, for the most part. So, I want to be able to reach out to those people.
Well, then how would people reach out to you if they needed help? Do you have a website?
I have 2 Facebook pages. I've got a page that I'm working on that is tied to my book, and it's called The Possession of Cindy Sauer. And then I have my public figure page, which is also Cindy Sauer. But people can they can find me on Facebook, look my name up, and they're going to find me. It's not hard to find me. And I've kind of built a network. I've worked for a couple of years now building a network of people in the field that I can contact, so that if someone does need help, I can at least direct them towards someone who I know is credible and would be able to help them. Mm-hmm. And, for them to come and talk to me, to let them know they're not alone, that's a huge step. And that's a big, big thing when you're dealing with something like this.
Have you ever talked to the Pickmans, Tony and Deborah Pickman?
I have not.
Okay.
But I would absolutely love to. I have not had that opportunity. But I tried to contact people, the best that I can, and to talk to them. I have not really been able to meet another person who can say that this has happened and I can share things with. It just doesn't happen. So any opportunity I had to do that would be huge. It would be helpful to me and to other people too. So, if you could get me in touch with these people, it would be amazing.
Well, they're right on Facebook. Tony and Deborah Pickman are on Facebook as well.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to have to look them up then. That would be wonderful. I've met some great people doing this. Amazing people who have become friends, and they've become lifelong friends, and that's invaluable. They sit and they believe me, so that's a good thing. And I'm not looking to convince people that this happens, and that's not my purpose. I want to inform people and educate them, because there are things you can do that really will up your odds of it not happening, and people are oblivious and think that, oh, this can't happen to me, but I'm telling you it can. And it doesn't matter who you are or what walk of life you come from or what your religious background is or what you do. They do not care. They don't care. It doesn't matter to them. It's an opportunistic thing, and if you are weak enough and just the recipe is right, then you're susceptible. And people do silly things every day, and we see it online that blow me away, that put themselves in harm's way. And so, to be able to educate people has become a purpose to me too. And I hope to try to do more, more public speaking, and to just reach people and talk to them. And people who are curious to answer questions, I don't mind doing that. I really don't. It helps me, and it brings understanding, and it's something that just isn't talked about very often. and whether it be because nobody experiences it or because it's a taboo subject. I don't know, but it needs to, there needs to be more conversation about it. It doesn't need to be something that's not acceptable. So, we're working toward that because there's just not a lot of acceptance. Even in the paranormal field, people are very skeptical and they want to say, yeah, sure. And I can see why, because there are a lot of stories out there and a lot of people that claim things that just aren't true. And that really does hurt and kind of debilitate the people who are trying to get answers and to reach out for the truth, because it just takes the whole process of trying to get help. So I was fortunate enough not to have that happen. And for that, I'm grateful. And I'm grateful for the people, too. I can't say enough about people, paranormal investigators, the real ones that are out there doing this and putting themselves on the line. They're great people. They're heroes. And they're choosing to put themselves in harm's way to help people they don't know. And that's what this field is about. That's what it's supposed to be about, not TV shows and fame. It's supposed to be about helping other people. And that's kind of a movement that I'd like to start again, instead of it being focused on, let's get proof. How about focus on let's help people?
Awesome.
And I think that's what it's about.
That's awesome. We have some questions from the viewers.
Okay.
Okay. Now, and this was from Bloody Mary, and we've already answered this question. She wanted to know, did the demon say its name? Yes.
Yes, it did. Yes. And like I said, it did say its name. It said it, for during both exorcisms. But like I said, that's something I keep kind of under wraps for just reasons that personally I have. So yeah, it did.
All right. Next question from Aaron Brody. What's Cindy doing to protect herself from being possessed again?
Well, like I said, I pray. I do that. It's important to me. Faith makes you stronger. There are certain people I've contacted to kind of ask them, better ways to protect myself. I try to wear a crucifix or a rosary. I'm not Catholic, but I do try to do that because it is helpful. I have an issue with those breaking on a regular basis, but I do it anyway. I have holy water on standby. I do keep it and use it on a regular basis just to kind of protect the house. I sage my house too. This is a normal process. Things that you can do just to, if nothing else, to make you feel better, more secure. I've been working with some people about kind of putting up protective barriers around me. So that's something that I'm sort of working on now. We're working that avenue to see how effective it is and if it keeps things, quieter and away, because we experience stuff on a regular basis now, even. So I'm learning. It's still a learning process, and I'm learning things that I can do to keep myself safe. But so far, we're okay. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. Keep learning.
Next question from Nicholas Communications. Was she a Christian when this happened?
I was. I was raised in church. I was raised Methodist. I've been baptized. I was a Christian when it happened. The death of my husband was another thing that was a big struggle. But, we did. We went to church. I've gone to church my whole life up until that point. And, I was raised that way. So there were some that believe that if you've been baptized, you cannot be possessed. And I'm here to tell you that that's wrong. It can happen anyway. So.
All right, another question from Lori Duffy. Are her children safe?
My children are great. My daughters that had to go through, parts of it with me, they were very much shielded, especially the younger ones. They were shielded from this as much as possible. I've got 2 children now who are young, who had, did not experience any of this, and they have normal lives. They don't know, anything about it. They're perfectly fine. My kids are strong. We've got a really close relationship because of the things that have happened. And they love their mom, and I adore them, and they're doing great. My daughter from the show, Chastity, she is going to get married in July.
Congratulations.
So we've been doing the whole wedding dress thing, and it's been amazing. She's got a little boy who will be 2 very soon, and she's getting married to a wonderful guy who was actually there for part of everything that's going on. So that didn't run him off, and he's got to be a keeper, you know.
Awesome.
And they're wonderful. She's doing great. The kids are thriving, and they couldn't be better.
That's
and I
awesome.
appreciate people's interest and people wanting to know. But yeah, they're doing great.
Awesome. Nicholas Diane Hilbert. Who is Jason?
Jason is my fiance. He was on the show as well, and I met him a few months before things started getting really crazy. He is from Alabama. He was a pastor at one time, not when I met him. He was running a company when I met him, but he was a former pastor, and we met, and it just kind of went from there. And a couple of months in, and he's dealing with this, and he doesn't, turn tail and run, then he's got to be pretty good. So I figured I'll keep him.
All right, another question from J.G. Rogan 02. Any plans to release a book with photos?
No. I've been asked that before. I've had several people ask me that. There will be photos in the book I want to put in there, but there will not be photos of the evidence that the paranormal team got. Again, I know that people want to see it, and I really do understand that. But I can't, in good conscience, even entertain the idea of releasing that photo. I just can't do it. It's not something that I would be comfortable with putting out there at all. I can't. In my heart, I know it's not a good idea, and I can't do that. So that will not be included in the book, but there will be photos. I plan on putting pictures in of the house that I went to where the first attack happened. Possibly the house that I lived in, which is nothing to sing about. The one in the show is much better than the one I lived in. I wish. But we'll be adding pictures in, but not of anything evidentiary from what happened. So, sorry. I know it's kind of a letdown, but that's what we've decided. So.
Okay. Another question from Nicholas Communications. Do you see shadow people today?
I did see one today, actually. Yeah. I see them now. I do. I actually experienced things that I didn't before all this happened. It seems that it sort of awakened something in me, and I know things now that I wasn't aware of. I don't say it's any sort of, I don't label it, but it's something so that sometimes I can even hear people who are passed away. I can see them with my mind's eye, I guess, and I can hear things that they're saying. And sometimes when things are going to happen, I do have dreams. So I guess it's a residual effect from what happened. I can't say for sure, but it's only been since the possession has happened that I've been able to do this stuff. So I don't know.
That's interesting.
But I do see shadows. I do. We all do, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Claire Daly, question. I thinking she's saying, was Cindy exhausted afterwards?
Yeah, I was. I was exhausted after every attack. Extremely exhausted. Like laying in the bed, exhausted, not able to move, exhausted. After the exorcisms, there was an immense euphoria, and it was the most amazing thing and the most beautiful thing that I've ever experienced immediately after. The release from everything and the air, the light, everything is completely just amazing. It's different. It's something that you can't even express, you can't convey. But everything is bright and it smells sweet and your senses are heightened and it's this wonderful elation. You can feel the presence of God so strongly, and it's something you want to keep holding on to forever. But it doesn't last, it doesn't last a very long time, but it's there. And that keeps you going. You remember that. So, but the fatigue was really bad. And it is after anything that happens, any kind of vision or anything like that. It takes you a while to recover. It's tough.
Another question from Joanne D. However, you've already answered this question during the show, and her question was: had you had more than one exorcism?
I had two.
Yes.
Yes, I did. I had one in 2011 and one in 2012. Yes.
Janelle, how long were you possessed?
Between the first it's hard to put a timeline on. The whole incident from the beginning of things going bad was about 2 years, from then till the second exorcism. And that's the best timeline I can really put on it. Right. As far as how long. But that's give or take as far as the beginning of it.
Donald McGuire, did you have any internal injuries?
No internal injuries. They were just surface injuries. Thank God. If it had gotten any worse, it's a possibility. I know that I had knots on the back of my head where at one point I was on the floor and I was beating my head into the floor. But no concussion. The people who were there were really, really, and there were a lot of people there. When I woke up, I think there were probably 10 people there, and they were all standing around, and I was not aware through the entire thing that all these people were there, but they were there, and they were good about holding me where I couldn't hurt myself to a certain point, because you're really, really strong during this time, from what I understand. And so I had people protecting me. I did suffer some injuries, but nothing that was anything major.
And Aaron Brody wants to know: does Cindy still go ghost hunting? Cindy.
I've had moments where you venture, and I'm really, I'm not. I try to help from the sidelines. We'll put it that way. I do assist people. I'll come in and kind of assist groups. There's a local group that I work with now and then that's here, and we're actually doing a charity investigation this weekend at a place for autism. So there's some good coming out of it. I'm not gonna investigate. I'm just gonna go and make an appearance, and I'm not gonna get into the deep investigation of it all.
Good.
But there are times when I poke around. I'm safe, but it's something that I've been passionate about forever, and I avoided it a long time after. I completely avoided it, and I was like, I'm not going to touch it anymore, but you can't. There's a reason. I've got a purpose, and after all this, there is good that can come out of it. And so, I do poke around a little bit sometimes.
From Deborah Schlegel, she wants to know: do you worry about talking about it, and could it, because it may bring it back?
I used to worry a lot. I used to worry about writing the book. That's what took me so long to start it. And there are people who've been with me from the beginning and curious, and they're my friends on Facebook and on other social media sites that know that I've been working on this book for a while, and it was a struggle. I did worry about it a lot. I mean, it's scary, and sometimes when I do even these shows, things happen. It's been quiet tonight, which is good. But there have been incidents while I'm doing these things or after where things have happened. So I don't worry about it, though, because I've chosen that I'm not going to spend my life worried and living in fear and giving over that power. I've taken that back. I'm not a victim, and I'm not going to live like one. If it's upset that I'm doing something, then I'm obviously doing something right. And so I just push on through that.
All right, last question. From Rufus Torres, do you own a Bible, and have you read it during this event?
I do own a Bible. I own actually several Bibles. I've got Bible apps on my phone. I've not read it during the event, but I do have this. And I have prayed a few times. And when I do things like this, I keep this with me. So you are close. You're very close.
Okay, well, Cindy, I want to thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to have you on the show. I was really honored to have you on the show. I want to thank you so much for joining us. The viewers loved you. You were an awesome guest, and I wish you the best of luck. And yes, honey, you do need to write that book.
I am on it. We're doing it now. And thank you so much for having me on. It means a lot for me to be able to talk about this and tell this story.
You're quite welcome. And once you write that book, if you want to come back, I'd love to have you back on the show.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Cindy. Best wishes to you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good night, honey.
Good night.
Wow, that was an awesome show. Hope you guys really enjoyed it. Cindy was such a joy to have on the show. I was really happy to have her on the show. It was wonderful. I hope she stays safe. Say prayers for her, and hope everything works out well for her. Everybody, thanks again for being here tonight. We had a huge crowd tonight. Thank you so much. Please thank our mods, Royce Hinman and Unique Annie, for being our mods tonight and keeping such a great chat room that we have. And please say your prayers. We need prayers for Royce. He's not feeling well these days. He needs your positive energy and your prayers, as well as Jimmy Cortez, also our faithful viewer. And so let's do a quick shout out. Oh, hey, guess what? The next show is April 20th, and my guest is Ross Allison, and the show will be on haunted ships and haunted lighthouses, and I'm really excited to bring you that. So that's for April 20th. No show next Thursday, but April 20th. Let's do some fast shout outs. I've got some awesome shows. Also, everybody, don't forget you can sign up for show reminders on ParanormalZone.TV, and there's a little tab that says show reminder, and Royce is helping me. We're going to redo that website once we get a chance. Oh gosh, and what else? I wanted to tell you something. Oh, I'm airing another show on haunting ghost images with Vanessa. What day is that? Oh gosh, that's in let's see, that's in August. In August we're gonna air another show on ghost images. So send them to me. I've already started a folder. People are already sending me their ghost images with an explanation so I can read that online for everybody. You can send it to ParanormalZoneTV@gmail.com, and you can also contact me on Facebook. Thanks. Yeah, and Royce, give them my Gmail as well. ParanormalZoneTV@gmail.com. Send me your images, okay? It's going to be another great show. The last one was very successful. I've got some awesome shows coming up, guys. I'm so excited. We're already booked through, up to August. All right, so I want to do some fast shout-outs, and my husband's waiting for me to eat dinner in the other room, so let's do some fast shout-outs. Again, I want to thank Royce Hinman and Unique Annie, my mods. I love them dearly. So Shelly Phillips, Misty Dawn, Nellie Moan, Chippa Terry, Catalog 11, Andrew Cox, Aaron Brody, BCH Bonds, Sean Bodine, Donald McGuire, B Singer 11, Zoe Small, Claire Daly, Brandy Keller, J. Alfred J. Awesome. How's your acting going, honey? Donna Gordon, Joanne D, Charlotta Matha, Beat 3 Airspace, JP Rogan or O2, Lenora Martinez, Charmy Vapor, oh gosh, I vape and sniffs, Bridget Willis, hi honey, Kimmy Croft, Madness of Darkness, XJO Cax. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing that right. Zinzin Whisperwind. Yes. I just lost this. God, this is awful. And Royce tells me what to do. And Rufus Torres, Sandra Amador, Andrew Cox. I already said that. Poof Baby 61. Donna Gordon, Nicholas Communications, Jimmy Cortez, love you, honey. And I know my Carl White's out there somewhere. Hey, Carl, I know you can hear me because I know you watch the show every week. He's from the UK and it's about 2:30 in the morning. Lori Duffy, Joanne D, Arthur Shadow, who else? Deborah Schlegel, Lully Tooby. Anybody else want to shout out? Diane Hilbert, Para Princess Patricia, Dashel, Dan Immel, who else wants a shout out before I go? Ophelia Arias, Mary Ann Culp, Margarita Harforth. Oh, hi, Margarita. Anybody else want to shout out before I go? Yes, Ether Shadow, I love you too. Ginger Simmons, hey Ginger, thanks for joining us. Anybody else want to shout out before I go? Don't forget to please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. I'd appreciate it. Don't give the thumbs up on the show. And Chatlog 11, I did. Joanne D, I did. Okay, don't forget, say prayers for everybody. Group hug for everyone. And I'm going to say goodnight. Don't forget, I'll see you on the 20th. I'm really excited about that show. I've had Ross on the show before. He's great. Miss Sewell. Yes, Vanessa is awesome. I love airing my shows. And we're due for another Unexplained Disappearance show as well. I've got to schedule that with her. But I got some really awesome shows coming up. Ethan. What, Ethan? What you want? Shane Blankenship? What you need, honey? Starry Night. Hi, Starry. What's your question, Ethan? Oh, it's 7:30. I gotta go. Yes, group hug for everybody. Ethan, what's your question, honey? Aaron Brody, everybody loves you too. L.J. Ponsfield. Oh God, Amora 0505. Thank you. Thanks, Beat 3. Yes, SOS is awesome. Society of the Supernatural, my buddy Dave Spinks. Thank you, LJ. I have cast out demons. If Cindy would like to contact me. Honey, Ethan, she's on Facebook. Contact her on Facebook. Cindy Sauer, okay? Oh, you too, Starry. Thank you. Awesome, Ethan. Contact her, honey. Thank you, Amora. All right, I'm going to go now, guys. My husband's waiting for me. Our dinner's getting cold. Joanne Gray. All right, well, again, don't forget, April 20th will be the next show. I'll be posting the event. Group hug to everybody. Janet Wolf, have a wonderful weekend. Be safe. We're in for a big storm tonight. It's already started raining, and I love you guys. And thank you so much for being here week after week. I love you guys. Thank you so much. It means a lot to see my same viewers in the show every week. Thank you so much for your support. I love you guys. Thank you. Good night, everyone. Thank you.